Good morning. Ashwin Damera, co-founder of Eruditus. Our mission is to bring high-quality education to the world. And an example of that is illustrated here. So the image on the right are students at a class at MIT. And so it used to be that if you wanted a quality education, and if you're in, say, India, China, LATAM, or other parts of the world, you packed your suitcase, got onto a plane, and you literally spend 2 years, 4 years at a campus here in the US or sometimes in Europe and Australia. And we've tried to flip that model and bring the school to you. We started off 8 years back by working with INSEAD, and we've grown those partnerships. Ours is a partnership model. And so on the right is the same MIT class on innovation, but it's being delivered in Dubai, and the faculty have traveled. And obviously, over the last few years, we use online and technology so that faculty don't travel, but what they have to teach does. Our model, like I said, is a partnership model. You can think of this as demand and supply on two sides. On the one side, we have supply, so we work with top business schools and universities. INSEAD was our first partnership. Berkeley is our most recent partnership. And on the other hand is demand. As you can see, 70% of our students are non-US. India is a big part of what we do, about 14%, but other parts of the world as well. So fairly distributed. Our students are mostly working professionals, 10 years work experience, mid-career professionals. And the way we kind of bridge the supply and demand, so you can think of it in two ways. One is about half of our students are learning in blended courses, so there's some classroom and there's some online, and about nearly the other half are doing purely online 6 to 8 week certificate courses. Most of our students are paying for the courses themselves, so that's 90% B2C. And about 10% are coming from companies who are sponsoring. Some examples, I won't spend too much time on these. So this is the blended courses. Typically how it works is there's some teaching on campus at the school, some teaching off campus in locations across the world. It could be Dubai, Singapore, London, etc. And then increasingly more and more online. And as we're creating more online courses, we are blending more online into the curriculum. In terms of our kind of learning outcomes and career acceleration, for the blended courses, about 75% of the students, 1 year after the course finishes, report that they've been able to make successful career transitions. Nearly half of them are actually moving to a different company. The other interesting statistic is that about these students report a 30% increase in compensation 1 year after the program finishes. These programs are all non-degree. But of course, keep in mind that these are emerging markets and compensation salaries work slightly differently than they do here. On our online courses, we use a Spark pedagogy, small, private, online courses. Our completion rates are 85% or more. Our net promoter score is about 45. And we believe very strongly that, that in the online world, we have to make learning personal, so we have a cohort-based approach. Even if there are 500 students in a class, we break them up into sections of 100 each. Within a section of 100, you're going to be in a learning circle of 6. And in many courses, you actually get one-on-one feedback. Two important pillars that matter to us that lead to these outcomes. One is peer-to-peer learning, and the second one is action learning. On peer-to-peer learning, this is nearly every course of ours has some element of peer-to-peer learning, group work, etc. This is actually a tool, it's called Meeting Mediator. We built it with MIT Media Labs, Connection Science, and we use it across many of our courses, and what it does is give you feedback on how you're collaborating. There are, I think, 4 people in this learning circle. 2 of them haven't spoken, so they're in those white circles. The person who's speaking is in the center, and it tells you whether you've spoken a lot, spoken less. And there's a big data engine that runs in the background that tells the team what kind of a team is it. Innovation team, do people get to speak, or is it authoritarian, one is speaking? So we're really using these tools as a layer over our LMS to make the Spark pedagogy work and lead to higher learning outcomes. This is an example of a negotiations course. Everybody logs onto the platform at the same time. The platform assigns you to roles, gives you instructions, the whole thing is recorded. And after you watch the debrief video, you can come back and review your negotiation and see what you can do better, right? And so one of the reasons we have these higher learning completion rates is not only because people are paying for these courses, but also because we build these extra tools and layers that students seem to value. Growing fairly rapidly, not 7x, but nearly 3x last year to this year. We are about 30 million in revenue this year. We think we'll grow 3x again in 2018. Our growth plans, predominantly our courses so far have been in leadership management, marketing, finance, etc. But we see increasing appetite in fintech, blockchain, digital, and some of the computer science, data science courses. So we have a huge course creation plan on those. As a company, we have a global footprint. We're all geographically dispersed locationally, but also in the way we think. And so we think of a huge market like China. If you recall my second slide, China was not part of our student enrollments. And so we want to offer courses in Mandarin, but also have local servers, et cetera. The same with Latin America, large addressable population. Currently, of our courses, 14% of our students are from Latin America, but our courses are in English. And nearly 90% of that geography doesn't speak English. So moving into those geographies, but also with language courses, and building the tech stack to support that. All of this is possible with a phenomenal team that I have the privilege to work with. We have about 30 people who are based here in the US. Out of our 200 team members across the world, about 140 are based in India, and then the rest are sprinkled across Singapore, Dubai, London, and a few other geographies. And then what we're really trying to do is reimagine higher education. So our mission is to make high-quality education accessible and affordable, and the way we do it is kind of reimagining the kind of the Ivy League brickstone building institution. So in two ways. One is for the institutions to see that there's a large world that's beyond where they're attracting students currently, and to help them also embrace technology to reach those students. Also from a student's perspective, the new age topics like fintech, blockchain, or data science, machine learning, AI, to help them access those courses from the best universities in the world. And I think we feel, and we can take some pride in this, that if we didn't exist, maybe some of those 8,000 students would not have had access to the quality education that they've had because we're there. So that's who we are, Eruditus, and if anybody has questions, etc., I'm out of time, I'll be happy to take it after.